All right. Thank you so much, Eric. And you can go to Eric's website, digitalks.ca. Have a great day, and thank you.
All right, now it's time for our personal stories. We're not going to go into our second song. We're going right into a personal story with our guest, Kaylee, today. So over to you, Francis.
Hi. Sorry, my microphone was moving. Anyways, it's like a joystick. Anyhow. Okay. Hi. So we get to talk to Kaylee about her personal story with addiction. Welcome to Talk Recovery, Kaylee.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's your microphone.
Darren was hogging it.
Yeah, I know. He was.
I love it!
He's totally like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kaylee, what did life look like and feel like for you before you came into a 12-step program? What was life like?
So before I found a 12-step program, it was a lot of despair. I was self-loathing. I was a victim. I thought the world was out to get me. I was insane, and not just in the sense of the insanity of using drugs and expecting a different result, but I was insane. Like I thought I had parasites. I was hearing voices that were louder than any real person. I couldn't even have a conversation with you like this because what was going on in my head was too loud, right? So I've been rescued from a lot of insanity.
So I remember you sharing on Facebook a video of somebody kind of like being in a shopping aisle.
Yes.
And you saying that you could relate to that. So how bad were you in addiction?
And because this woman was someone had recorded her going up and down the aisles and trying to pick items and being really indecisive and flailing. It was exactly like me. I would literally spend hours shopping for anything, like cleaning supplies, grocery stores, Safeway. I would get lost in the stationery. They actually called the cops on me before, Safeway, because I was there for hours every day. Like, it was ridiculous. I don't know what the obsession was, but I just had to, like, I'm like, I'll buy light bulbs. Like, anything that made me excited to just purchase, you know?
So what did you think of, how long ago did you come into a 12-step program?
So I came in 4 years and 3 months ago.
Cool. So kind of relatively newish.
Yeah.
Newish.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like what was that, like kindergartner?
Yeah. Preschool. That's me.
And so what did you think of it when you first came? To come from a place where, you know, you're thinking that like life is not real, to come into a room where everybody's sitting and talking about their feelings, what was that like for you?
Uncomfortable. I certainly, you know, it's everybody shares about like when they come in and everybody's so happy that they think they must be using, right? Because they're like, how can they be so happy without substances? And it was a lot like that. But it was, I don't know, it was inviting. It was like I was so ready for help by the time that my family had an intervention, that I was just very willing, right? So to come out here and to like interact with people, and like the opposite of addiction is connection, and to connect with people and to care about people and myself, right? Like that was, it was amazing.
So you had an intervention, and where are you from, and what did that look like?
So I'm from Calgary, Alberta. Basically, I was waiting for my dealer to drop off some dope to me that night, and my family walks in, my siblings walk in with my mom, and some friend, like, this is our friend, and I'm like, is this an intervention? And they like start laughing, and they're like, Haley, sit down, like, we have to talk to you. I'm like, it is an intervention. And yeah, they basically, before they even told me where I was going, I said, okay. I was like, where am I going? And they're like, really? They didn't get to read me their letters to tell me like why I should get help. They didn't get to read the letters for like if I say no, you know, because they have all these things they prepare. It was really easy. Like they really didn't have to pay someone to intervene because I was very willing at that point. Like I didn't know there was a solution. I thought I was out of chances. So
what made you willing at that point to accept the help?
I lived in fear. I've never experienced the kind of, it was terrifying all the time, right? The insanity and the thinking that people are always out to get me, and what was going on in my head was so loud I couldn't even talk to anybody. Like I lived in complete fear. Like I've never experienced anything like it, right?
And what was life like for you before that? Like, had you always struggled with substances, or?
Recreationally, but the biggest turning point for myself was when my dad died when I was 23. He died very suddenly, and I really lost my will to live. And that's when I went from recreational using to using daily. And yeah, it was like a desperate, lonely place to be.
And so was that that grief of losing your father, was that something that you had to work on in your recovery?
Absolutely, because when you use for however many years to mask those feelings, you don't actually process them properly, right? So I had to kind of reopen that wound in recovery in a safe place and go through those feelings. And I remember one of the first things that the treatment center made me do was write a letter to my dad. And I still have that letter. They gave it to me like a year later. And it was like a letter to my dad of what my life looked like if I was a year clean, right? And it was pretty amazing, actually. It's cool.
What did you hope life would look like at a year clean?
A lot of it was just like basic things like happiness and to be employable and sane and, you know, but it's cool because it's a letter written to him and just telling him like how my life is, and I've exceeded the things that were in that letter anyways, right?
Yeah. So what were your expectations from recovery, and what have you received from being in recovery?
So my expectations were minimal, honestly. Like I just wanted relief from the living in fear, from the insanity, from the, you know, digging at my own body and like hearing voices, right? And I got far more than that because I came into these rooms and people told me, you know, like, we'll love you till you learn to love yourself. And I thought if anyone knew how much I actually loathed myself, hated myself, they would never actually say that to me, right? Because it seemed so far-fetched. But it's like by being in a fellowship and working the steps and stuff like that, like it's, I've actually, like, I love myself today. And I care about other people, right? Like that's amazing. Like connection's so important, and I didn't care about anybody before. I wouldn't bother to have a conversation about the weather with you because it was pointless, right? Like I just cared about using. And today I have like the most amazing people in my life as a result of being in a 12-step program. And it's like people go out of their way for me in ways I never thought possible. Like I don't ever have to struggle today if I just stay clean and do the next right thing, you know, because people are always there for me. Like if I can't afford groceries, people put food in my cupboards. Like it's just amazing.
Yeah, that's quite the community. We're very lucky to be a part of this community. Mm-hmm. And so, like, something that I know about you is that you are really into service. Mm-hmm. So can you tell me a little bit about what you do personally for people?
Sure. So obviously, like I have my service position in my fellowship that I do once a week, or, you know, whenever it's my turn to do it. And then on top of that, for a long time, I still do volunteer with hospice, but I don't have any shifts currently. But that's something I did lots, learning to companion people that were on their way out, right, their end of life journey. And then aside from that, I started what I call joy bombing when I was 6 months clean, and I've been doing that now ever since. And I actually created a not-for-profit, and it's not hugely successful by any means, but it's something that I do each week. We go out to the Surrey Strip and we feed people. I used to focus on the downtown east side, but they actually get a lot of attention and a lot of donations. So I go to Surrey now, and people are pretty grateful, right? Like whether I make meals or I buy them pizza, you know, whichever it is, like I just go down and meet people and hand stuff out. In the winter, I make especially in the winter, I make his and her bags with like socks and underwear, toothbrush, like necessities, right?
So you've been doing this for 4 years on donations?
Yes.
What started this for you?
Well, when I was 6 months clean, I used to always say like that I was, because I was always so happy. I'm like, I'm dropping bombs of joy on everybody, right? I'm like, I'm gonna joy bomb you guys. And when I was 6 months clean and I was in a transition house, I started. I would give donations to like the homeless guys around New Westminster, and I remember my sponsor telling me, she's like, you can't just like go out at night by yourself and wake up the homeless people. It's not safe. I'm like, no, like it's great, right? I'm giving them like scarves and stuff, waking them up, like knocking on their little box, and yeah, it was my thing. And then I just continued from there. And then I, you know, sometimes people donate money. A lot of it, honestly, I do with my own money, right? So it kind of just depends on where I'm at and what I have.
What does that do for you in your recovery?
Oh, it's fulfilling, right? If I don't have a purpose and I'm not giving back, then I won't stay clean. I just won't, right? I have to care about other people. Self-centeredness is the center of my disease, and if I live in that, I will be loaded, right?
I hear you. What is one of the biggest struggles that you've faced, even clean?
I would say one would be balance. I find I can make it so things look really good on the outside. I'll sponsor 10 women in a program, and I will work 2 jobs and do a full-time volunteer position. And then it's like, ultimately, like, it looks really good, but I'm suffering because I'm not doing any work on me, right? And another thing that I found more recently is replacing drugs with other substances, like gambling, right? Anything to fill the void. And I never had a gambling problem when I was loaded. But this year I had a gambling problem, and I had to ban myself from casinos, right? So it's like, it's really easy to switch out one substance for another.
Right.
Yeah.
And what do you do when you see that these different things are coming up? Do you go back to the basics sort of thing?
Oh, absolutely. And I talk about it. That's the biggest thing, right? Any mistakes that I make, anything that I do that I'm ashamed of, I talk about it. I'm like very open, very transparent. People always know what's going on for me, so they can hold me accountable, right?
Right. And so what's something that you'd like to sort of leave people with today? Just, if somebody's out there struggling to stay clean, or maybe they've lost somebody that they love, or just maybe even contemplating going into recovery but just not having the courage to take that next step and go to a meeting. So is there any message that you would want to send to somebody?
Just that there is hope, that there is a solution, because I know I didn't believe it until I personally experienced it. I didn't believe that I could even like myself until I personally experienced it. And I certainly didn't believe that I could be like restored from the insanity. And to wake up every day and not need a fix, and like all these things, it's miraculous, right? And just to know that there is hope, like, because people before them have experienced it, right?
Right. I think that's the big thing of recovery, is that there is hope, and that we can all experience recovery, and we're all entitled to it, and we can all recover. We do recover.
Kaylee, everyone. Wow. Great story. I'm impressed. I'm inspired, actually, not impressed. I'm inspired. That's why I love the personal stories. We get to, I've seen you around for, I guess, 4 years. And you just don't know a lot about people's, personal life, and unless you're personally involved. And, that's quite often, home group members, you'll know each other week by week or whatnot, but not really know the inside and what's going on and what they believe in and what they're doing on a volunteer level. And that's really cool to hear. I didn't know that. So that's solid. Love that. I'll have to start making some bags together, right? Like, I sometimes I take that for granted. Like, there'll be so much, accumulated stuff, right? Which is just like, I got to get it out of my house and take it to the nearest donation box. Not really thinking or focusing on where it's going, and it's cool that you take it right down to the spots there and give back to those who need it. So
yeah, let's call it a show, and thank you very much, everyone, for being here. We are going to... Can't hold the camera. I'm on camera, Derek.
Well, that just looks like Giuseppe's regular selfie mode.
Yes, I am. So we're going to talk about Untoxicated's coming up on August 6th. If you're going to be celebrating Vancouver Pride, check out the Untoxicated Festival at Davie and Butte. It's one of the largest street festivals that are substance-free during Pride, so we're super excited to have it. And we have world-famous Katya, and for those people that are in the know, Katya is just famous, and we are super excited to have Katya. And also 2 other very important events. We've got the Recovery Capital Conference of Canada that's taking place on September 7th and the 8th. And you can go to Recovery Capital Conference, Darren, recoverycapitalconference.com. And then we also have Recovery Day BC, so you can go to recoverydaybc.ca. I think it's CA. And but you go to Facebook and you can hear all about it. And it's going to be Recovery Week, so September 7th, 8th, and 9th. 3 big days for
also
recovery.
It's
a surprise. I know. I was gonna surprise you. You just ruined it, Francis. Jeez, it's just
throwing me a conference.
So, Darren, how are we gonna finish our show today? What music do we have planned?
Well, we're gonna miss a song, so it's either Beach Party or Modest Mouse. Let's go Modest Mouse. This is Dashboard.
All right.
Good job. I feel like I was a bit stilted with your questions.
You're what? Stilted?